Elimination.
If you're someone who's interested in the medical profession, learning more about the role of a physical therapist in preparation and development of athletes, then this episode's for you.
Hey,
Hello.
welcome to Direct Elimination, Rachel.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. This is a conversation that we've been having ongoing for a little bit about, how can we get you on here? And you've been named on this podcast
Multiple
before.
times.
And if there's anyone that's listening that's paying attention to the Direct Elimination lore, then they're probably at least once been familiarized with the name Rachel Hey-Shipton. You are both of our physical therapists and have helped us as well as many other USA national team members and Olympians come back to health and feeling like themselves again after some adverse, physical setbacks, I would say. And through that and your just overall passion and joy that you bring to the work that you do with us, you've created quite a cult following in our group. And we're always really excited when you get to participate in our national team camps, as well as whenever any of us goes to see you. It's like, oh yeah, I saw Rachel. And then we're all really excited about it. So just really happy to have you here and to start talking a bit about what it is you do.
Well, I'm honored that I might be a cult leader.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. But I think what you said is really, something you said really important was that you feeling like yourself again. And I feel like that is so critical. So that's really cool to hear.
Yeah. So let's jump right into it.
Well, I don't want to miss the intro that we always do.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Okay, yeah. Wait, this is, you rip it.
We're very proud to have Rachel.
Oh, we're going right into the name?
Yeah, well,
I thought we were, okay, we got to list some stats. Okay, I got this.
Give us some stats, all right? You're the stats
We
guy.
have Doctor of Physical Therapy specializing in orthopedics and sports, who has worked with many Team USA fencers and Olympians on the USA national team, as well as people spanning across a variety of different sports and livelihoods, a lot of runners, and has changed the lives of many people. Currently working out of Mayo Flatiron. We got Dr. Rachel Hey-Shipton. Woo! All
Thank
right.
you.
That was really going to bother me if you didn't do that.
No worries. For those of you listening, we cut all of our takes except for the good one, but there were many takes. That was hard. Steve and I were not in sync today, but we're in sync now. And Rachel, we're really happy to have you here. Let's jump right into it. We want to take this moment to thank one of the sponsors of this episode, Mayo. As you guys know, I've had to come back from a variety of pretty serious injuries over the past couple of years. At Mayo, they don't just focus on physical therapy, they focus on future-proofing our bodies as well, which is the idea that if we take care of our bodies today, we won't have to miss out on life later. They take a holistic approach to care, providing full-body postural and movement assessments. They also do hands-on myofascial treatment and hands-on corrective curated exercise based on your needs. Mayo has locations in New York, Los Angeles, Toronto, Calgary, and Vancouver. So if you're in any one of those places and a listener to this podcast, go check them out. Their website is myodetox.com, myodetox.com. Use code DIRECTMAYO100 found in our description for $100 off your first session. Go check them out. Future-proof your body starting today. Where are you from?
I'm from Santa Barbara, California.
All right.
And so did undergrad out there and then went to grad school out east is how I ended up in New York City.
Nice. Columbia?
Yep, at Columbia for PT school. I had an amazing experience at that program, and now I've been in New York for just over 9 years, so
All right.
stuck around.
So for someone who's ignorant like me, what is the school path like to specialize in PT?
Yeah. So you do undergrad, like any kind of grad school. So 4-year, get your bachelor's. It can be in anything as long as you have your prereqs. And then you go to PT school, which is 3 years, year round pretty much.
Okay.
And so within that program, then you'll have like all your science stuff, of course, but then interwoven is like clinical experiences. So you've worked with people before you graduate, and then you take your boards, and then there you go, you can practice.
So then what are like the subsections of physical therapy, and like do you like especially you said orthopedics, but like what is the specialization like in the broad physical therapy like category?
Yeah, so you can officially specialize in things with getting a specialty board certification. And so I have that in orthopedics, and I'm sitting for my sports one in a couple months. And so I would say like you could officially certify in a few categories. And so for like our field, ortho and sports would be the big ones. But in like a hospital setting, you could do neuro, or if you're working with kids, like pediatrics. So there's like a few specialty like certifications like that exist. But of course, then you can like niche specialize in things like, you know, some people have like certain body parts, or like you mentioned, also I see a lot of runners, but it's not as like official maybe as those like board certifications that exist in our field.
So at what point into your physical therapy journey did you discover what fencing was?
I think the first fencer I worked with we just had to work on deadlifting and low back pain. So it really wasn't anything related. Okay. And I feel like we figured out how to deadlift correctly, no back pain. And I was like, all right, we didn't have to do anything with the sport. But I first really, I think, dove into it when a doctor that you guys know, Miriam Zachary, who is an incredible sports medicine doctor, she asked if I would work with a fencer with hip issues, because we'd shared a lot of patients that were complicated hip injuries, in especially athletes and runners. And I said, of course. And I then was like, okay, I need to like learn about this sport, right? So I can adequately treat it. And so first I was like, okay, let's see what research is out there. And I read every research article I think that existed, which wasn't
like
very many.
Yeah, maybe?
I think there's a little bit more now,
okay.
And
Thank you, Kat Holmes.
working on that. But wasn't that impressive because there wasn't a ton. But I think what I did a lot of at the beginning of first starting to work with fencing for a long time, not just like this initial person, was I watched a ton of slow-mo YouTube videos, and each new person that I would treat, then I would watch their YouTube videos, and whether it was like me just searching it, or I'd say send me like clips of like bouts that you have, or like ones that you think are good, ones that you think are bad, when you got injured, if that was filmed, that's amazing. And so I'd watch it on, I think like 0.2, whatever the slowest YouTube setting was, and over. And then sometimes I'd pause it and I'd go like frame by frame. And then eventually I'd like work it up to 0.5, 0.75, and until I kind of felt like I understood the mechanics. And I feel like now I still learn stuff all the time, but I feel like now I have a really good understanding of the mechanics that are involved. And I think that is what is so critical and kind of interesting, that you can use all my anatomy and biomechanics backing, but apply it to something new by understanding the moves, that how your sport works, that it's a power sport, and all the like acceleration, deceleration, change of direction that's involved.
So do you think you can watch a fencer like at a knack or something and be like, oh, I bet his hips hurt real bad? Or maybe.
You guys move so fast, it's kind of hard for me, especially Saber. I need a spokesperson. Like, I love nothing more than when one of you is sitting next to me and can like explain certain things as I'm watching it live. Slow-mo so much better. Or if there's a commentator, like incredible.
How many bouts do you think you've watched? If you had to
I have no idea.
If low bar, just the lower end do you think it's over 20?
Yeah.
Over 50?
Probably pieces, yeah.
Okay.
Because I think of everyone that
Over
I worked
100?
with, I like would, watch like over and over bits and pieces and back and forth. And
not full bouts, but just in general.
Yeah.
Like, do you think you've watched over 100?
Maybe.
That puts you in
I
like
also,
elite tier fencing.
When I was at JO's too,
spectator
I watched a
category.
lot of stuff live. Yeah. So I think maybe with all of that, at the beginning, I watched a ton because I wanted to feel like I could like treat you guys
Yeah.
correctly. And I felt like that was I think that's what I was so driven to do, because I feel like there was a big gap that I was hearing in your care, and that it was really, really common that you guys were getting programming that was for another sport that was just kind of like shunted to you, that I didn't hear that you were getting the care that I thought you should get for the things that you were describing. And I think that's just like what I became so passionate about, that I was like, all right, well then I'll do it. Like let's try to do it, you know?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I think Rachel's very ready for the first question of the one-line answers based on the fact that she's watched over 100 bouts.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So
Pieces.
no, it's okay. Don't worry. It's a fun question, and it's not coming till later.
Yeah.
So why would somebody, like, this is an educational episode, right? So this is, all of our episodes, I guess, in a sense, are educational, but we really want this one to give people a lot of information and access to your field, how it can relate to fencing, of course, but just in general, your field. So if you're an athlete or a regular person, not that, you know, just anyone, what is an indicator that you should go see a physical therapist?
I think where I'm working now, we're trying to really like open the door to, is that you don't have to have something wrong to have help with your body. And interestingly, our co-founder says this a lot, and it's something I've said for a long time. I think with like a dentist, you're not going to try to fix your own teeth, but for some reason with our bodies, I think we like live in them and kind of think that we could do that, right? Like, well, it's really common. And I think just opening the like ability that, yeah, you can have help with that, or you can get screened for that or get advice. And it doesn't have to be out of like an emergency or a surgery. Of course, we're going to help with that. But I think like it can be a bit like broader.
Yeah. Especially like that ties into what you were saying about, you know, how you got an understanding of fencing and just like fixing mechanics, like not just pain, but there are inefficiencies with just how we decide to do things. And fencing is a great example, but like it could be anything, repetitive motion. And like having worked with you and like fixing some of the mechanics of my fencing, like also helped the efficiency of my fencing, right? It wasn't just like, oh, like now this stopped hurting, but also like, oh, I'm doing this better and I'm moving more efficiently.
I think that's the big hope, right? And I think you guys have heard me say this clinically all the time, that I'm like, okay, this is for, yes, what we're working on, which often is pain in sports, let's be honest. But then I feel like you've heard me say, but this is performance too. Like this matters because this is a performance thing. Yeah, you need to be able to maybe like use your hip to push off, but if you can't, well, how are you going to accelerate? How are you going to get that lunge forward if you can't do that, right? So I think tying it always back to it is movement. It's a performance thing.
Yeah. So I think that it sounds like a very large task that you guys are currently faced with at Mayo, is educating the general public enough to the point where the idea of physical therapy isn't just connected with rehab, but you're also promoting the concept of getting in when it's prehab, right?
Yeah.
And just conditioning people to be okay with, and not just okay with, but excited to get that coaching on how to move within their own body that's specific to them before any of these injuries happen. So what's the right age, do you think, for that to happen? Is there a too early to start? Is there, because there's no too late, I guess. The best time to plant that tree other than yesterday is today. But is there a too early? Like, was there a right age to start, ideal age?
I think your first point, it's never too late. There's so much research that you can get gains no matter what age. And I think even like I hear people that are in their 30s, they're like, I'm too old. And I don't think that's true. And then as far as too early, I mean, if you're going real early, like there's baby PT and I don't do that. But, you know, you guys know I've seen youth athletes in your sport. So I think if you are a young athlete, then things might come up, especially if you're training at the high levels that you guys are at a young age, potentially. Again, usually that's a little more injury driven at that age. because usually when you're that young, you're quite resilient. You bounce back really quick, but sometimes it's hard because, again, you're doing a repetitive sport at a really high level.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, though, let's say it's not injury related. I'm starting to go through puberty. My muscles are starting to develop, and I have the means to do so. Is that a good time to come see a PT?
That could be a really good time. I think that's an interesting point because I think especially a lot of younger men want to lift and kind of get that like bulk started, or they get that interest in lifting when they're around that high school, like puberty age. And sometimes then their testosterone hasn't caught up yet, or they've gone through a huge growth spurt. And so their muscles haven't caught up with their growth yet. So yeah, I think it might be a really interesting concept to think about. What if maybe just when you're an adult, or it became kind of like the norm that what if you had you have an annual physical, you also have a PT annual, like you could have someone screen and help and just like check in, like, how's your body feeling? And for some people, like the same as when you go to your PCP for your annual physical, they're like, okay, check the boxes, you're good, move on. But some people, maybe that's the opportunity that you need more than that. Or I think that could be like kind of a cool way to look at maybe the future heading.
Yeah. The reason I keep asking these questions is because Steven and I love to muse about potentially owning a fencing club at some point in the future and being either the business owners or coaching, or one of us is the other's boss. No, I'm just kidding. But really, one of the concepts that comes into that, and a fencing club that I'm inspired by, I'm going to give them a shout out, is Dynamo Fencing in Vancouver or Richmond, and I guess now Vancouver and North Vancouver, British Columbia. And the idea of, at a young age, exposing the kids in your sports club, for any sport, but we just happen to have that fencer's perspective, right? To a physical therapist or a physio, like not just a strength and conditioning coach, because that's great too. Like having the strength and conditioning aspect and having that team work together to develop your athlete safely and from an educated perspective relative to the sport that they're doing and the actions and movement patterns that they're participating in from a young age. And just kind of, that's the ideal scenario in my head. If I was to do this, if we were to do this, that we would introduce that at an early age. So
I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
And again, because that's the group that they're doing something repetitive at a high level. And we know that sports specialization can be like risky, basically, for injury development. And it just, I think, again, you're starting early. And we've talked about this with sports psych too, like starting early, that's kind of the norm, right? Yep, we have help for screening. You're on a cross-training program to support your fencing. And I think that could be really powerful and really beneficial. And it'd be really interesting to follow if you did that. How do those athletes progress? Are they better? Are they like less injured than other clubs? It'd be really interesting.
I'm just thinking about how many people I knew when I was a teenager. We all had knee pain. All of our knees were shot. And that was just what happened. You kind of expected it when you're like 12 years old. Like, oh, this guy's wearing a knee brace. This guy's got this knee problem. Like, wonder when it's going to happen to me. And
well, that's the other thing when you're that age. And honestly, in any team sport, if everyone has the same thing, it becomes normal. You're like, oh, your knee hurts. Well, so do mine. Oh, so does everyone's. Well, I guess that's just normal for us. Oh, we're fencers, so we have knee pain. But then it's like, wait, no, maybe we shouldn't. Yes, maybe after you compete on cement, you don't feel your best. But I think breaking the norm that because you're an athlete, you should have pain all the time.
You have any questions? I got a million in my head, but I'm not hogging it this time, Steven.
Personal growth.
Thanks.
I'm very proud of you.
All right.
I guess I brought up the knee pain for all these kids back in my day or whatever, and hip pain. Would you say are like the most common fencing like issues that you see fencers for? And follow up, how does that compare to other sports generally? And are there like just some of the most common athletic injuries like across sports? I'm just curious, like, let's do the stats.
Yeah, like how does it compare?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't promise I have research out of my head, but I would say clinically I see...
Anecdotal experience.
Yeah, for fencers, I would say hip is going to be one of the biggest because of especially your front leg. You're in that at least like 90 plus when you're going into the deep lunging. So a lot of hip stuff and labral tears, but then also a lot of proximal hamstring stuff because you have to do that quick like energy absorption and then return when you're going into like a quick lunge that's super, super deep. And so
for those of us that don't know, where is the proximal hamstring, like roughly?
Yeah, so I tell people it's like right up into the butt cheek. So
right up, so like here.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
where
at your like sit
typically-
bone.
I've seen Rachel for my proximal hamstring stuff and for hip stuff, actually.
Yeah.
I had
So
a
those
real
are really
proximal
common.
hamstring issue when I was 12, and I didn't see Rachel. So.
No, yeah, well.
I didn't know you
That's
were
why
in
you
your
ended up being, that's why you are the way you are.
Yeah,
Should have been seen earlier.
should have.
So those are definitely super common. Knees, I think a lot, again, after a really hard floor, just the repeated impact, I see that a lot. And you're in a lunge repeatedly. And then foot, ankle, I think also a ton. And then it switches between like what your front leg and back leg are doing. I would say a lot of the back leg, you're getting a lot of like medial tendinopathies because you're in that turnout of the back leg. Then you're also you're on your toes. Like you are using your foot, ankle, and calf muscles like the entire time. Some people are more bouncy than others, but either way, you are doing speed and quick movements. And so that's another big one. So I'd say a ton of lower extremity. Upper extremity, definitely like some shoulder. I think fingers get like jammed a lot. They're usually, I don't find those as like long lasting and serious, but I feel as though most people you guys have jammed your fingers probably a ton of times, right?
I have wrist stuff through the wahoo.
And that's
know if that's a
maybe
phrase.
that's the non-clinical word.
Out
But
the
as you guys
wazoo.
know, I'll use a ton of language that's non-clinical because that's not what you're going to understand. And so I'll say stuff all the time that's not like I'm sure there's a better anatomy term I could use than jamming your hand in your wrist.
Yeah. I mean, we have the twisties. I don't think that's
Yeah,
what they're called.
But then you understand it,
Steve
right?
and I know exactly what that means, and that's our hip exercise.
Yeah, exactly.
Twisty.
Yeah. I think the other thing that's interesting that everyone who's a fencer will understand, but with some of the hip stuff too that I was thinking about is almost everyone should be able to get into the splits basically, depending on what their front leg position is. I think you guys all want to be able to basically enter and exit that at some point. And I think that's a very unique thing where you need both the strength, control, and flexibility to do that, especially quickly.
Side split or like front split, like a fencing
Front.
split.
Front split, like think of if you go into a super deep lunge.
When I was 16, I used to be able to do it.
Yeah, and I've heard people be like, that was such an advantageous move for me to be able to do that, and maybe they couldn't anymore, or that was their goal to get back to. Yeah.
Speaking of which, you'll be proud. My lunges are getting real deep.
Oh,
I
that's
hit
so
Steven-
good.
No, but I hit Steven on some deep lunges.
In jeans too.
Oh, wow. That's a lot better than I thought he'd do. All right.
Because Rachel and I are working on my hamstring mobility, strength, and resilience.
Yes, I love that word, resilience.
Be careful.
Okay, don't hurt yourself. This is non-warmed up.
Better than I thought I'd be able to do.
But not as good as your boy Ari, is it?
Rachel, who won?
Honestly, you guys both pretty close.
No,
You're both.
Rachel.
Were one of you
gotta-
touching the floor fully?
Yeah,
Neither of us.
I think neither of us. But we'll let the fans decide.
We'll let the fans-
Who has a better split? Ari,
Yeah, let
I don't
them
even
vote.
think they could see it, probably.
You need me to do it again?
No, we just can't see the floor. They're just going to see that we went down. But from what you guys saw, vote for who did it better. Let us know.
My quad started cramping.
You okay?
Yeah.
I was a little worried. You really can't injure yourself in a splits competition
That'd be so funny.
that I initiated. That's
You did not initiate.
did not
That is Tweedledee and Tweedledum. So
I really didn't think you were gonna. I thought I was gonna have you. I was really surprised.
dude,
by that.
that's why we were talking about this on the walk over. The work that we've been doing, I know that I'm dealing with some other very inopportune injuries, like to my Achilles, that were pretty random. But the work we've been doing to the hamstring, I'm whipping out some lunges in practice that I'm surprised by. And then when I recover and come back and nothing hurts and I have no fear or anything, it's just getting more exciting. I had the confidence to do that.
Yeah,
And I
even
could
that
have
you had
pushed
the
it more.
confidence to go
That
into
wasn't even
splits.
pushing it.
Good. Don't push it in a
I
competition.
know, that was chilling. I was in chilling mode.
But I'm so happy to hear that. That's one of the most like exciting things when we're like, yes, we're having this huge win. It's so exciting to hear that you're getting into deep lunges, because again, there it goes back to that's our performance piece, right? Because now, and especially to have no fear going into that. Well, now when you're competing and you're on the strip, you're not thinking about, okay, well, like I can't move too deep because then I'm not going to be able to do that. So I've got to change my strategy. And you're doing all this in a micro of a second. But then now we've just opened up a whole opportunity for you.
Yeah.
That actually goes into something that I thought about when we were getting ready for this podcast. Was when we were working together, you said something to me when I was like, oh, well, like I can fence now. Like my hip doesn't hurt. I just have to be real careful to like keep my knee over here. And if I just do that, then like my hip doesn't hurt. You went, yeah, but that's really shitty to have to think about. Like that really sucks. You have enough to worry about that you shouldn't be worrying about like, oh, like, am I going to hurt my hip doing this? And it's sort of like, I had to kind of stop for a second and go like, you're right. That'd be really helpful to not have to think about like, this is, it kind of it sounds stupid, but it really blew my mind. It was like, I thought I just had to sort of deal with these things and like eat that and then figure it out. But that really like made me sit down for a second and go like, maybe like I shouldn't. Then that was just like a really cool moment. Thank you for that, for like sort of opening my eyes to maybe I should take care of my body. And like, maybe if I was at 100%, then I would be competing better, kind of thing.
I think a lot of that comes from the empathy that you give when you're working, which
Thank you.
Stephen's point comes to a question that I think we should have asked from the beginning. And, it's never too late to start, just like you said. So what made you want to be a physical therapist? Was there a moment that you could describe as your all-in moment to physical therapy, or the idea of becoming a healthcare provider?
Yeah, I can walk you through kind of my like journey into this.
Please do. We'd love that. We jumped right into the like, boom, boom, tell us about physical therapy, all this stuff. But this is also about your story, about your journey.
I grew up dancing. Mm-hmm. I did other stuff too, but that was my primary thing that I was competing in and that I spent a lot of time doing. And it was very kind of typical environment that you like have maybe seen on like TV shows. And
what kind of dancing?
Like more competition was probably the environment that I'm going to describe, is where it was very like throw this routine, but there wasn't like the cross training element unless it was kind of like in a punishment way. And that's when I got all my injuries. And I think I remember a lot of people on my team being injured. And I remember people also like asking me because I would be interested in like movement. And I think that's where my initial like love of movement probably developed and really set me up for the like career I'm in now, and having like a really good understanding probably of my own body, what movement is, I think is anytime I've worked with a performer or dancer, they're so in tune with themselves. And that really led me into like kind of learning Pilates and yoga after that, and working with this woman who started a like fitness equipment brand before I went to college. And then in college, I was a kinesiology major, which I absolutely loved. I had an amazing experience at Cal Poly SLO, shout out. And I loved sport nutrition. I loved exercise physiology. I liked all the stuff related to that. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I knew I wanted to do advanced education, and I knew I wanted to do something where I felt like I was getting to the root cause of issues. I think that was really important to me. They didn't want to feel like I was masking it with like a prescription, for example. And not that all are bad or anything like that, but just I wanted to feel like I was like getting to the root and doing something that I had autonomy in my work. And that's when I found PT, and I shadowed someone and got a job as an aide at a physical therapy place that was local at the time. And I think my first day I was like, yep, okay, that's what I want to do. And I knew I wanted to have some sports focus. And so then from there on out, I was kind of dedicated to figuring, like doing all my prereqs, and you're going to have to take grad school exam and eventually apps and stuff like that. And I remember too, my biomechanics teacher in undergrad was like, raise your hand if you want to go to PT school. And, a bunch of people raised their hand. He's like, yeah, maybe one of you will make it. And I was like, oh, challenge accepted. And like, if you're going to challenge me like that, I'm like, oh, that's a great way to get me motivated. I'm like, I'll show you. I'm going to get it.
How many people in that class ended up becoming PTs?
No, I have no idea. It was so long ago.
Do you know if it's more than just you? Like, do you know anyone else from that class?
I can think of one girl, and I don't know if she was in that class or the year below. But again, it's like it's a whole class that you're in college with.
Yeah.
Like, how many people do you? I don't know what all those people
No,
do.
Ari, probably like 60% of them, but the rest of us, no, we don't remember anybody.
I wish I filled my brain with like information about biomechanics instead of useless facts and useless facts about people's lives and what they've done results wise in a fencing tournament in some given year or what they're up to. But hey, Steven, here we are. Anyways, back to your story.
Okay, so then I applied to PT schools and I applied to a bunch and
What was your top choice?
Columbia. So after I interviewed there, not every PT school does an interview. And I think that's really interesting because our field is, I think, entirely dependent on your ability to communicate with people. I think you can be the smartest clinician in the room, but if you can't communicate with people, then it doesn't really matter because they're not going to listen to you if you can't like get across what you think and what you want them to do to collaborate on whatever their goals are. And so I think that was important. And I think once I went for that interview and I had talked to like people that were in the program already and kind of just like felt the vibe, then I was like, yep, I think that's the right place for me. And so then
Very belated
accepted.
Congratulations on getting accepted to your top choice.
Oh yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And yeah, so then moved to New York. And here we are.
Nice.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. That gives a lot more, I think, color to the overall story of how we got here. Because we jumped right into fencing. How'd you find fencing? But there's so much more to your life, and not just that, like your client base is not even remotely close to being all fencers. Like, sure, you have plenty of fencers, but you see plenty of people every day. And how many of them is a fencer? Max one. And it's like, on average, you're seeing 1 to 3 a week fencers, maybe less.
It depends like where the setting was and,
But that's the point.
And it depends at the time of year and
Yeah.
you guys know, like
All to
we're
be
ramping up to Paris and stuff like
But the
that.
reason I brought that up is because there's so much more depth to your journey and your story. And we just jumped right into fencing.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. This is a fencing podcast, so the fencing part is very
This
important.
this is a podcast. Yeah, it is a fencing podcast.
It should be.
Being run
That's
by
good.
fencers. But we're talking to people like you because fencing touches all sorts of aspects of life and all different types of people and journeys that are not necessarily fencing, but we can all learn from each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know why I got defensive. This is a fencing podcast. This is the fencing podcast.
Yeah,
You're listening to the fencing podcast.
exactly.
What I will say, and I say this, I haven't missed yet, but every time we talk to someone who isn't like a competitive fencer,
Keep not missing. I love this.
it's just like fencing, where there's some parallel between that and fencing. But when you were talking about, it's not about being the smartest in the room or like understanding the most, it's about communicating with people. I've thought about that a lot with fencing coaching, right? It's not like at first I thought, do you have the coach's eye for the sport and like an understanding of how to create things or whatever. But what I've realized is it's how do you communicate your expectation to the athlete that you're coaching, right? And to communicate, how do you do this better? Because everybody can teach the same moves, right? But to really improve, sometimes I need my coach to say it like 2, 3, 4 different ways with like a different emphasis on a different thing, and it finally clicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just thinking back to, you being so in tune with the movement and like so quickly and clearly explaining to me in our sessions, like, you need to do this and your toe needs to be here and your knee needs to be here. And all of a sudden it's like, I'm doing it, I'm feeling it, it feels great. I'm like, whoa. So I would say you'd be a great fencing coach.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I can
studied-
coach you how to win a point,
You can
but I
learn
can
that.
coach you
Yeah,
how to
that's
move
the easy
how to
part.
move your leg.
No, that's the easy part. Once you know the minimum, of what's going on in the sport, minimum equals what you know plus a little bit more fundamentals. The coaching is the part that is so hard to teach people how to do. Like, if you have an innate ability to coach, which you do, given your entire profession is coaching us how to use our bodies, right? So totally agreeing with Steven and doubling down on that you would be a great fencing coach.
We'll keep it at movement coach. I think I really love having a team. So you have your fencing coach, you have me potentially, you have a strength and conditioning coach, you have sports psych, you maybe have sports dietitian. Like, I think having a team is the best possible way. But yeah, like teaching movement it's a whole field of study of how do you teach people movement? How do you teach new things? How do you learn new skills?
Yeah. So what this comes into a very good point. You're talking about having a team and, being a part of a bigger picture. Everyone has their own role and all that. I definitely lost my train of thought, but what I'm really going for is for physical therapy. And we talked about the importance of all these things working together, right? So how much of your job is also connecting that mind-body connection? And because wellness is not just physical, like it's all tied
100%.
together. And you're talking about you can be the best clinician in the room, but if you don't know how to work with people and communicate and do all that stuff, you might lose a moment that could be really critical in someone's treatment process or journey. So a lot of your job isn't just diagnosing and maybe, telling someone how to move something, but it's also taking care of them in a deeper sense, right?
I
Do you mind
think
elaborating
absolutely.
on that?
I think it's really, like, I'm very passionate that it's about the whole person. And if we don't take all that into account, then it's just like we're not treating appropriately, I think, because there's so much more depth to treating, and especially for an injury coming, there is a huge emotional, psychological aspect that comes to that, especially if you have to take time away from your sport. And so I think understanding that and knowing, there's sometimes I say there's times I have to push people or sometimes I have to pull back, and there's all in between, right? And understanding that it's really multifactorial. And then, maybe we're then going the other way and thinking performance. Okay, you're traveling internationally back to back to back to back. How are we managing that? What are flight strategies? What are your nutrition strategies? Are we working with someone? If we're not, okay, here's the research I know. How can we build out your resilience in every possible way?
What is your favorite memory from your physical therapy journey, if you have one? From maybe to make it simpler to answer, do you have a favorite triumph or moment with a patient that you have had that you're legally allowed to talk about?
I have a fencing one, so this is good. That since Anne has mentioned that we work together, then I feel I can also, when
Shout out
she
Ann
was
Sabula.
in...
We'll check with the lawyers.
Great interview, Ann Sabula.
When she was in Paris, I was watching at whatever early time in the morning, and my watch was like, "You're really stressed." And so I feel like that was actually a positive, because I was just, I feel so honored that I get let into your guys' lives in such a deep way. And so I felt, I'd been with her, entering up into that point and all the emotions and the stress of doing something so big. And so I just felt so emotional. I think also watching her and seeing her emotions on screen. And so that was a really cool moment.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. We also were really feeling intense emotions. That first win especially was crazy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anne.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, do you have a favorite injury to treat where you're just like, this is bread and butter?
Hips. I love treating hip. Yeah.
Twisties.
Yeah. Hip is fun. I don't know. I just like treating the hip. I think it also like involves so many more things because it's also the pelvis, it's also the low back, it's also down the chain.
I mean, every single thing that I've been treated
Connected to the hip.
connected to the hip. We even found a way to connect my shoulder to my hip when I was getting my shoulder
Well, your
treated.
pelvis is like such a like giant source of stability and movement and like force transmission.
So everything ties back to the hip. Take care of your hips, people. That's great. Should we eat some cookies?
That's a good time to eat a cookie.
This is a great time to eat
Okay,
a
but I
cookie.
request after listening to many of your eating podcasts
We'll
that
turn the mics
you
away.
don't chew too loudly into the mic for people that listen with headphones in their ears like me.
Rachel is taking care of all of our listeners. Yeah, there we go, Steven. All right, I'm going to turn
Rachel made cookies.
I know I'm the biggest culprit of this, so I'm turning my mic away from my body. So now I'm a faint voice. I'm still going to eat this cookie on
Oh,
screen.
we still have the mics. The other mics.
Oh, that's for Asher.
Oh, it's okay. I ate a bunch of cookies last
Really?
night.
This is just a Steven and Ari journey?
Yeah, that's why I brought them for you guys.
Just watching us cash in on gifts from Rachel. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
They're eating gluten-free vegan cookies, which they didn't even know.
I'm going to throw this out.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So I feel like people always talk about, oh, I tricked them into eating gluten-free vegan. I've never been caught in that joke.
Oh, I didn't
right
mean to trick you either. I would have told you ahead of time, but I feel like
fine.
it's, you know,
That
always nice that the response was, this is good. And it included no allergens.
It's great. So that chocolate has no milk in it?
Correct. It's like cacao and sugar.
I
They're
love
not
that
healthy.
chocolate.
There's sugar.
I didn't expect healthy when I
Yeah.
put that in my mouth. Pause. Anywho, so let's get right back into this. That cookie was amazing. One bite taste test was a 9.3 out of 10.
9.5.
9.5?
10. I take it back.
Wait till I bring my cake baking
I'm a
hobby
real
in.
sucker for butter though, and like that buttery taste. So that's what.
I'm just a sucker for chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, honestly, it was really good. I'm gonna have more, but I'm not gonna do it on camera to spare our listeners.
I knew you were going to keep talking, so I had to say.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Keep doing your thing. Rachel, thank you for answering those questions.
Yeah.
I guess where was I going with this? I just had a complete brain fart on camera. You guys are watching me shut down. The batteries are turning off.
Well, you work here, so you can cut that.
We're turning them back on. Well, even before
cookie. Still with the cookie.
No, it's true. Even before I worked here, fun fact, for those of you who don't know, I work at this studio now. So that's kind of like not super relevant to any of you, but it might be. And I love my new job. Okay, back to this. I was editing it before I worked here, which is part of how they knew I was qualified. So back to this interview. I think that since we're starting to approach time, we want to kind of wrap up and push it back towards just physical therapy as a whole and as a profession. So what are some indicators that somebody might have in their own life that would lead you to recommend them to looking into physical therapy as a profession?
Oh.
I think obviously an interest in the science and the body, that's important. I think wanting to work with people in a greater way, like I get to spend long periods of time with people where some of my friends in other healthcare professions, it's much quicker. And so I think if you want to be like more invested in people's journey in like a little bit like deeper way at times, just because I spend so much more time with you guys than other professions get to. So I think that I don't have to sit behind a computer most of the time. So, you know, you get to, you're moving all day. So
Your eyes must feel so good.
yeah. So I think, you know, you're maybe tired, but also a pro, I think. I think those are some big ones.
Yeah, thank you.
You have to have a passion for it for sure.
Yeah. So what would you recommend? Let's say that I started checking off those boxes. Would you say that I should go and start trying to get clinical hours as a volunteer somewhere, as an aide,
Yeah.
or as
I think that's really one of the
sort?
best things you could do is get exposure, but I say get exposure to a lot of different fields. So go shadow a PT, go shadow a PI, go shadow sports med physician, like look at different settings with those things. Shadow an ATC, like think about like where, like go see if you can get exposure,
How
because
early
then
can somebody start doing that? Do high schoolers
I feel like
get
probably
let in?
high school
Okay.
you could, but definitely in college and I think then you, because then you get a better sense of like, okay, what does a day in the life actually look like? And you can speak to someone about, okay, well, like, why did you pick your job? What's your day like? Like pros, cons. Would you do this job again if you went back? Like, I think all of that, I think seeing it on the ground is a really good way to see if it's right for you. And I think even if you're you're like, that's it, still it'd be beneficial potentially to see like the other things so you're sure, just because there's so many ways. Like even if like for my journey, I'm like, okay, I knew I wanted to do sports med kind of, but I didn't know all these other like pathways existed. I'm kind of lucky that I fell into what I think I was meant to do, but there's so many other ways I could have worked into this world.
I have two follow-up questions.
Yeah.
One, because this is, we talk about performance a lot in a fencing context, but let's say I'm someone who's in the field, and I'm just curious what your answer to this, not necessarily advice for someone, but how do you get better at your job? Like, how do you improve and like what is the sort of like the methodology for like, I don't know, is improving and performing better as a PT?
I'm really passionate about this. I think that's what's also cool is my field is always changing. Like we are always learning more of how to be better. Like I think there's probably things that as a new grad I don't do now because there's like more research or I've learned. And so I think that's something I'm just really passionate about, always being a continual learner and always learning. And I think every person I work with is also a learning opportunity because I'm just learning clinically from their individual experience. I think every person is unique. The same injury could be treated completely differently in two different people, even in the same sport. I think, and there are things, like I said, like I'm sitting for my sports exam in a couple months, so that's going to be a big one that I'm going to study a ton for. There's lots of little certifications, but I think also it's really up to you after your license to like what do you want to do with it? And there are like licensure requirements. We have to do a certain number of continuing education units, but I think it's kind of up to you how much you want to dive into it. And I think just having a curiosity for continuing to learn I think that's what drives me, but that might be kind of innate to people if they're,
I think
but again, that's another reason maybe to get into a healthcare field.
Yeah. And I think that connects to it's just like that. It's
Yeah.
just like fencing, like that curiosity to continue learning and sharpening the edges of your sword, no pun intended, is a lot like fencing, right? Like you want to continue being a student even once you have your certifications or something that says you've accomplished some element of something, right? Because the world keeps moving, everything keeps advancing and growing. So that gives us a little bit of insight into your mentality, and sounds like you're competing against yourself, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. So you have another
I
question,
do have
and then
another
I have
question.
one, and then we should probably jump into our one lights.
Oh boy. No, my other question is for someone who's interested in learning more about movement and how that works, principles of it, like where would I start in just learning more about movement and efficiency of it, what makes it good, bad, how to get better at it? What do you think's a good?
Call a physical therapist.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, that's kind of goes back to our first point. You don't have to do that alone because I think you just described so many ways. Like, I'm like, okay, first I'm like, do you want to know anatomy? Do you want to know mechanics? Do you want to know strength and conditioning principles? Like, so
I want to be
think
less uncoordinated.
Yeah. Then again, also quite individualized. I think this goes back to our first point. Like, you don't have to do that alone.
Go to PT. All right.
Yeah, like I'll help
Got
you,
it.
you know, like if there's something specific, then I can be like, here's a like valuable resource.
Right.
And like, how can we apply this to you?
What's been the most challenging part of getting to where you are? The biggest obstacle that you felt was thrown in your way? Could be personal, could be whatever you're comfortable sharing, or could be
Well, I can tell you one
institutional.
that was like mental for me, like personally. I think when I started working with athletes more, especially you guys who didn't have that full team of providers that I ideally would love for you to have for every individual. And I think I felt like a big responsibility that you shouldn't get injured if you're working with me. And but I think this was a really good learning, like growing point for me, that sports is very hard. That's why not everyone does it. And so we will do everything we can to make you as resilient as you can, but you can't prevent everything. Like crazy stuff happens. And so I think that was like a very
mirrors and shattering. And
we should have mentioned why your
Achilles
Achilles injury is odd, because the Achilles injury in itself is not odd, but breaking a mirror and slashing your Achilles with a
Didn't
slice
break
of
it
mirror.
out of anger.
Yeah.
For those of you who are keeping up, it was a freak accident. I was angry that I broke the mirror. I did not break the mirror because I was angry. I think that's all really insightful, and I hope that people listening are piecing together kind of, the bigger picture of the fact that if they have the resources available to see and get in touch with a physical therapist and become someone who's getting treated by them, that it's important, as it touches on so many aspects of being an athlete or someone who wants to, be active, right?
Yeah.
It can be beforehand, it can be during, it can be after. There's no wrong time to see a physical therapist, except not at all. Right?
Yeah, I love that.
And I think that that's one thing that I've picked up on throughout this podcast. It's something that I definitely preach, but I'm myself victim to trying to fix my own body. Every time we talk, that I'm watching videos, doing all this stuff, like trying to figure stuff out before I ever step foot in there, when I'm not very well equipped to do that. And if I'm doing it, plenty of other Joe Schmoes are doing it. And at the end of the day, it is great to learn about your body, but it would be much better to learn from an expert who's watching you move and understanding, because there's plenty of information out there on the internet and it's great, but it's not tailored to anyone's specific body other than the person filming it, right?
Yeah, but I would also say don't beat yourself up, because I think that's one of the best qualities, is that you're like, well, I'm so interested. I try to like learn all this on my own. But yeah, that I can, we can also help like facilitate where the right direction. Because exactly, I love that there's so much information available, but there's also so much information available. So it can be hard to navigate what's good information and applicable to your situation and what's maybe not so good.
Yeah.
This is not a related question, but have you had the opportunity to travel with other sports teams? Or like national teams, or I don't know, maybe private club teams or something, or is it just fencing that you've had that sort of travel alongside? And
I've worked on site with performers.
The Broadway team.
Yeah, if they're a team. But I feel like that's the other probably like big like athletic group that I've worked with in like an acute like on-site setting.
And that touches back to your dancing days a bit, right?
Exactly, totally. So I feel like I can understand
what they're going through.
Mentality a little bit from just maybe my background and like personal like exercise experience that I can apply and remember a lot of aspects about, hopefully to you guys too.
It's awesome.
So as we wrap up, we're going to be entering our favorite part of this podcast, which is something that we call One Light Answers, which although you're not a fencer, you've watched plenty of fencing videos, as you were flexing on us earlier with that. Just kidding. But so putting on a single light is a lot harder than putting on two lights at once because you have to hit first and then there's a closeout time, right?
Yeah, I felt like when you guys launched this segment, I was like, I think I understand. And I was like,
there
all
we
right.
go. That's
felt good about
proof
it.
that you know about fencing. So One Light Answers, it's so humbling for us to have a guest who has watched this show. This is so cool. So Rachel, you know what's about to happen. We have some questions that we've written up. Obviously, you're not a fencer, so we don't have so many fencing related questions. But Steve
Thank
and
goodness, because I wouldn't be able to answer those.
Yeah, well, you might have to anyways. So Steve and I are going to be sharing because my phone is like, that's more than an appropriate number. So anyways, you get exactly what's going on for those of you that are listening. She's just got a rapid fire. First thought that comes into your head, that light goes off. She's got to give the answer. Steven, take us away.
Who are your two favorite fencers? All time.
Stephen and Ari,
obviously.
obviously.
You hear? If you're one of Rachel's clients or patients who's a fencer, we're so sorry.
Was there any other answer sitting here?
I mean, Ann Sabula is one of my favorite fencers at this point. So you could have said Ann and we would have been okay. But other than that, we're the only other right answers. What is...
my turn.
You asked that.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We're breaking away from our regular schedule. What's the favorite city that you've gotten to go to for fencing?
New York City. How can there be a better city than that?
That's a good answer.
What's your least favorite injury that you've ever had to treat?
I used to not like bilateral elbow, but I don't feel that way.
Bilateral elbow mean?
Bilateral means both. So both elbows at the same time.
Aha.
But I don't have that love-hate relationship anymore. I now like the elbow.
What was so frustrating about that?
I don't know. I just didn't like it the same way that I'm I love the hip. But I've changed tunes, so I don't know. Maybe next year I'll have another body part I'm on the outs with.
Fair. But I mean, listen, everything comes back to the hip. Nothing goes through the elbows, so I get it. If you had to start fencing, which weapon would you fence?
Oh, I feel like you guys should answer that for me.
No. You've watched them all at this point.
I don't know if I know the difference enough between how I would fence epee and foil.
But just from the vibes, which one would you choose?
All right, I'm gonna say not saber because it's too fast
Already
for me to understand so I'll be out because I just will miss things because it's the speed. And then between epee and foil, I'm gonna go epee because I can hit anywhere, so there's more likelihood that I'm gonna win.
Hey,
and that's important.
We like that. We take it. Another epeist.
Another epeist. Would you rather carry your travel PT table everywhere you go or watch 2 hours of 0.25 speed fencing content daily?
Every day versus bringing the table everywhere I go.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd watch the fencing. I can do that on the train time.
All
Carrying
right.
that table everywhere, I'm gonna be in a lot of shoulder pain.
But you'll be really, really strong.
I am really, really strong.
But you'll be
You are
really,
really
really,
strong.
really strong. That was a pretty good one. I don't think I can have a better question than that. That might be it for now. Last one is, what is your favorite piece of pre-or equipment?
What are my options?
The whole
glove.
kit.
Yeah, this glove.
Oh, yay. All right. Rachel, it's been awesome having you on. And I think that we should start doing this more. We haven't done this enough. So Rachel is local to the New York City area, and you are on Instagram and you work for Mayo in the Flatiron. Does Mayo have a longer name? Or is it just called Mayo?
Just Mayo.
Mayo, Flatiron. You can check it out online if you're in New York City looking for a physical therapist. Where can we find you online? Are you on Instagram?
I do have a professional Instagram now. It's kind of new, but it's at Hey Rachel PT.
At Hey Rachel PT on Instagram, correct? All right. And if someone really was inspired to come be a client or patient after this, what's the best way they can do that? Through the Mayo website?
Yeah, they can go online or they can DM me if they have a question, if they're the right fit.
All right, perfect. So
They should do it. I always
Thank
refer
you.
to Rachel as a miracle worker, but
It's
she
true.
probably hears that and goes, "I'm just doing my job, asshole."
Yeah.
It's not a miracle.
I would never
skilled.
call
It's
you
a
an asshole for
miracle
giving
that
me a compliment. Thank you.
It's a miracle that we found Rachel.
It is a miracle.
That's the miracle.
Thank you guys so much.
So
Can I share one more amazing memory with your team?
Please.
When I was working with you guys in the summer and I was having a hard couple days, and when I came to work with you guys, you were all like, wow, thank you for being here. And when I was leaving, they all lined up sports style to give me like a high five leaving. And I think I almost cried once I got on the street because it was so like kind and sweet, and it just meant so much to me. So
Yeah.
I've never shared that back with you guys. So thank you.
If we were rich, honestly, we should honestly start doing this already, but it's easy to defer it by saying if we were rich, we would get you a lot of gifts. But I realize that it's not too late. Like, you made us cookies and that was very thoughtful. And this is the type of physical therapist you're going to be working with. Like, this is someone who just out of the kindness of her heart brings cookies. Steven and I didn't deserve these cookies. We do nothing. We just hurt ourselves and then get better and then hurt ourselves again. And then we talk a lot. And
But that's okay.
This person cares about her profession and her patients, and not only that, just the overall well-being of the people that are being treated by her. So if you're in the city, you have the means, you want to get better and feel more knowledgeable about your body. Move good, better now. Dr. Rachel Hey-Shipton and Mayo. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. This is awesome. We've been talking about it for a bit. Hopefully it's not the last one. We need to find better ways to engage this conversation with you and get more information out of your brain. But this was awesome and a great start.
No, I really appreciate you taking the time. This was awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Learn more about you and what it is you do, and thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's direct elimination.
Your support means everything to us. The follows, likes, shares, subscribes, the comments, the engagement, all of that is so meaningful to us because we know that you're listening, you're paying attention, you want to hear more, and we want to give you more. We want to give you the best, and we really appreciate all of it. So please keep it up. We're going to keep responding. We're going to keep giving you guys more interesting conversations, more amazing fencers, and awesome people just like Rachel for your listening and viewing pleasure. Steven, I'm not even going to lie to you. Ever since I've been using this Prior glove, holding a blade just feels more right than it ever has. So if you want to get your own, I would go to PriorUSA.com and just check out your options.
Here at Direct Elimination, we are very excited to announce that we have partnered with Edge to bring you guys some great products to hopefully help your fencing game and help give you an edge over the competition. Edge has multiple different products available to help keep your shoes performing well. It works at a molecular level, does some science stuff that I am not qualified to tell you about to keep the rubber in your shoes fresh. It's not actually adding anything sticky. It's not going to leave any residue, but make sure to buy it and try it out. You get a discount if you use code ALLIN at checkout. That is ALL-IN. So be sure to use our code, get some Edge spray, and feel the floor better.
Climbing distance and pressure, patterns barely seen. From sabers